Today we're going to be looking at this 1571 disk drive. If you saw the series on the Commodore 128, you'll remember that this drive starts up okay, but once it's been running for a few minutes it starts giving errors. We want to look at it and find out why and fix it, hopefully. So let's get to it. Right, I've already unscrewed the top, so now one of the things that I want to do today is I've got a set of capacitors that can go in. So it's possible that putting new capacitors in will actually fix the problem, but maybe not. So that's one thing. Another thing, I've got this, which is a Meanwell RD35A power supply, switch mode power supply, because the power supply in here, which we are going to recap, is one of the old linear types with the really big heavy transformer, and this will make it lighter and it will make it run cooler, and that's got to be an advantage. This 5 volts at 4 amps and 12 volts at 1 amp, so it should be ample. Okay, let's take the lid off. Right, so in here we've got the power supply, big transformer. That's a bit noisy, it sort of hums a bit, and we have to remove this anyway in order to get at the main logic board, which is underneath. And then this is the drive mechanism. I've got a little homemade disk transit protector, which, as you can see, is made out of an old cereal packet, but it does the job. Actually, I'll leave that out for now, because we're going to want to take this front cover off at some point. Okay, let's take the screws out for this. I see there's a screw missing from that. Yeah, I think obviously have to remove this metal plate. Let's see how many. Oh yes, there's one more screw there. There we go. To see if I can find another screw for that. Right, and that just lifts out. Now, as long as we remember that red is the plus 5 volts and black is the ground, we should be okay with that. And we have to take this off, because the ground of this chassis is linked to the ground of this chassis. There we go. Let's put that in another little box. Okay, that's just a big metal plate. Now, what have we got here? Okay, everything seems to be soldered to the circuit board, apart from this EEPROM, which says conveniently on it 1571, and this chip, which is a 6526. So what have we got? I'll turn this round so that I can read it. Okay, the circuit board is made in Taiwan, it says underneath this big what do we call those, hybrid things. So we've got 6526, 6502, 254172, oh no, sorry, 65C22. Let's read the right label. 251828-01. That's going to be a gate array of some sort, I would imagine. WD1772, that's the disk controller. Western Digital, and this is going to be another 65C22. Some logic, and that is, I would guess, RAM, or probably RAM. So what are we going to do? To get this board out, we need to remove this because there's a screw. I can see the screw there. It's underneath this, which means we've got to remove this. Let's take the front panel off. In order to take the front panel off, we need to slide that out. And then it just comes away. Okay, we need to take the LEDs off the front. There's two screws. Oops. Don't drop your screwdriver. There we go. Is it going to come off? It's quite well. Oh no, there's a clip underneath, I can see. I don't want to force that. Okay, I think it might be easier to unplug it from the other end. At least for the sake of this. Now, black is towards the outside, red is towards the inside in case it is polarized. Do we want to retro-bright this or anything? I don't think so. Let's just put these screws back in so we don't lose them. Drop your screwdriver again. When you're screwing into plastic, it's always a good idea to screw backwards for a half turn or so until you hear the click. There we go. That means that you're going to go into the existing thread and not try and create a new thread. Right. So I'm presuming that all these screws need to come out. Oops. Oh no, I think that one doesn't, because that only goes into metal to metal. That one does. That one I can't see. Don't really want to take out screws more than is... There we go. We don't need to take the others out more than is necessary, because of course you wear out the plastic. And yeah, just unscrewing that one, look, you see there's a little bit of plastic came out, so that's obviously going to ruin the thread, which means we might have to repair it. Now, you can actually repair these plastic threads by bunging them up, essentially bunging the hole up with araldite or similar epoxy. Okay, and use some PTFE tape, sort of plumber's tape. You just wind it round the screw and that will that will keep it sort of, or at least prevent it from getting glued in. Right. I think it's fairly obvious that that's the top, but let's just write top on that. Written in black on black. Now these are going to be the interesting ones. So what I shall do is get my phone out and take a picture. There we go, and I can refer back to that when it comes to putting this back together. So the little lip thing goes towards the outside, so that's another way to remember it. That's the small one. That's the less small one. That's the big one. Okay, so that's the drive mechanism. That can come off. Let's put that to one side. Let's take that off now. Because I've taken that off here, I can put this back on here. Okay, let's just put these little screws in the box. Now, see, there's some dust bunnies in this case which will need cleaning out. 2, 3, and 4. That's an interesting place to put it. Now, why is it not coming? Why is it not coming? I don't see any other screws. So what's holding it in? Ah, there it is, it's come out. Okay, and this is the 1571. So, a little bit grubby. Let's take the backing board off. So we'll just untwist these. Okay, that way. Some versions of the board this is probably soldered down, but at least this isn't. Okay, before I go any further, I should put my anti-static wrist strap on. This is earthed through a mains plug that goes through a 1 mega ohm resistor, which should be enough to not give an instant zap in the case of instant zappage. Right. That is free. And it's felt or paper or plastic or something. Feels like card. That's interesting. There's some minor little bits of rust there. While the batteries were charging, I had a look under the board to see if there were any obvious problems with the soldering, and although there are one or two slightly iffy looking joints, like that one there, there's a few solder joints on here that appear to have less solder than would be desirable, but nothing that looks particularly like a dry joint or something that's going to fail when it warms up. Some of them, like these here for example, are under soldered, shall we say, and that one in particular is under soldered. So I think in the course of going through and doing the recapping, I shall put some extra solder on those. Right, okay, let's turn the soldering iron on. Turn the super homemade solder extractor fan on. This is literally just a 120mm fan out of a PC, stuck in a 3D printed box, and there you go. So let's rummage through my little bag of capacitors. So I've got two bags. This bag is for the power supply and this bag is for the main board. And in the bag are little bags. I do love having lots of little baggies. Right. So C31, 1 microfarad. Okay. This one, isn't it? C31. Just add a little bit of solder. There we go. And it was a bit messy, but never mind. Right, the big stripe is the negative. At this point I discovered that neither camera had been recording. SIM card is full error on both cameras. What fun, eh? Okay, so it's time now to put this back in its backness. Be very careful when you plug it back in, because there are mains voltages here that are live and exposed on the board, and we don't want to electrocute ourselves. So, smoke. We're going to use our multimeter to check the voltages, because we don't want to blow up the disk drive either. 5 volts we have. Volts we have. Off it is. And out it is plugged. Now, before we put this back into the case needs cleaning, so I'm going to go and clean that and then bring it back. Okay, we're just going to soak this in some warm water with regular washing up liquid in it. There we go. Let it soak for a bit. And then I'll give it a bit of a scrub. Okay, these have had a good hour or so soaking. I've turned them around a couple of times just to make sure that they all stay wet. So and I have scrubbed them thoroughly a couple of times through that process. So this is just one last quick going over. Before we take them out to dry. And finally the front cover. I did relent in the end and take the LED board out. You can see there are a couple of little clips in there that were holding it in as well as holding the screws. Okay, we'll let those dry off. So the case is dry, and now it's time to put everything back together. Right, the first thing that has to go in is the circuit board. I don't know if you could hear that. That was Windows Update in the background. So that's not the right way around. That's the right way around. That is, yes, excellent. And now the circuit board goes in. Actually, before the circuit board goes in, we need to take that out and clip it back on. Okay, so that board just slots in. Don't forget to wind the screw back so that it gets the right thread. Next comes the drive mechanism. Or does it? Or does it? Where does it go? It goes on here, doesn't it? That's it. Forgetting where it goes. Right. Where it goes, nobody knows. Okay, take that off so that we can put the front panel on. Before we attach the power supply, we need to plug these back in. And what I should do is check my phone for this photograph, and it seems to be not on my phone anymore. I stand corrected, there it is. Way around. It can only be one way around because there's a little mounting positioning lug. And that just clips on the front. Right, let's find some power and give it a try. That's a good start. Okay, let's break out the 128 and see if it actually reads discs. Okay, let's give this a go. Turn the computer on. Turn the disk drive on. If I can reach it. There we go. Let's stick the disk in. Where did I put the disk? Here we put the disk. This is our diagnostics disc. It's not liking that. Again, it's not liking that. Try that without a disc in it. '51 overflowing record. So whatever we did, we haven't fixed the problem. I have a theory what it might be, and of course it's going to be one of the most expensive chips on the circuit board, but that I think is something for 1571 disk drive repair part 2. Alright, see ya.